So you don't need to really prime monkey resin, but what we're going to do is get maybe some dark neutral gray. And so we'll basically start with a gray. And, you know, you can kind of treat this as a primer. Really what a primer is just a layer of paint that lets future layers of paint stick. Right? It's because you're basically saying the surface is somewhat hydrophobic. And the monkey resin isn't hydrophobic. It works great, especially with an airbrush. So I'm going to put some neutral gray in there. It's a dark gray. And I'm just going to give this guy a once-over. Let me crank some light here so we can really see the details. And we're going to take a step back, open the cone up pretty wide. That dark neutral gray is a nice dark gray, totally neutral, has no warmth or coolness in it. It's literally just black and white mixed together for you. So I'm treating that as a primer. And I'm just trying to get nice, even coverage. Throw some air down, let it seal up, and then we'll see what we have. Disflux? Probably. So I'm going to make sure that we have, some, good coverage up in the cut, in between the legs, under the arms, inside the helmet region. And so, because it's going to be like a big blue shoulder pad here, we don't want a cool white. We don't want to, use blues to excite the grays, because then it'll just kind of be like cool on cool. And I don't necessarily want to do a warm white either. Maybe I do. Is it kind of just up for debate? Like, can it be a little bit on the bone white spectrum, or is it just clean ass white for world eaters? Traditional. Like all my world eater traditionalists. I think we gotta do clean neutral. I'm getting a lot of my color theory stuff is popping off of my brain, all my instincts. Let me see this other reference. Yeah, so this is a mistake. This guy went with a cool white. That's a mistake. So we're going to go neutral white because we also have fields of bone. And that can be warm. Okay? We got to think about contrast here. So we got good coverage, nice dark neutral gray. And now the trick with doing like white armor or black armor.
Boys? Rub your dicks on the car as you run away. We are gonna have sex in your car.
Hashtag Dirty Mike Life, exclamation point soup. Can I get some strong woman love for Love Minis? She says, been so cold. Been cold, rainy day. You have to keep me awake. Okay, Love Minis, we're keeping her awake. 5x multiplier, 115 bonus dogs, and Rottweiler tuning in saying, simply fuck you, Frozen. Rottweiler in the house, Love Minis in the house. Let's do our part to keep Love Minis, the legendary mod, alive and awake. And Rottweiler, just simply fuck you, Frozen. Thank you, guys. Gotta dirty that white up, Disflux says. Now, sure, but remember, the trick, Disflux, to any effect is you don't want to bake the effect in. If it's going to be dirty white, paint it like it's showroom floor white and then dirty it up. Don't try to dirty it up in real time and bake it in. That's how you get shit models. That's how you get all that bland tissue shit. All that like utter lack of contrast and sloppy ass models. It looks like it can be easier and a time saver, but the finished product is out of focus. So the trick to any effect is apply the effect afterwards. So if we want our white to be a little dirty, we will make it dirty. Just like in real life. At one point, that armor would have been perfect, and then it got dirty. Rottweiler dropping some bits on our ass, too. Let me get some love for Rottweiler. Now, Rottweiler, dark neutral gray. Okay? Now, as I was saying, Love Minis, the trick to a value paint job, which is like black or white, is that you don't want to approach it the normal way, where we typically are introducing our highlights and leaving a lot of our base colors intact for our transitions, you have to essentially give it over to the highlight. And a very small amount of your base darker colors are activated or valued. So we can't do our normal dramatic thing where we leave a lot of this dark gray intact. We have to erase most of it. And so you have to just rely more heavily on your edge highlight game and your pin wash game. So you can use all the grays in the world if you want. But realistically, you know, white is totally fine here. And so I'll just take some bold titanium white and throw some in the pot. And as always, what we're trying to do here is just... my water is over here. What we want to do is respect the value workup. You just want to put some white in there, so it's going to become a lighter gray. Okay. Some water. Rottweiler, excuse me, Frozen. I said F-O. And that's a 1x multiplier, 23 bonus yo dogs. He's coming in hard on you right now, Frozen. That's right, Ultra Mega Helmet, Blanche Shih Dip model in Mud Bucket, done. So we have a lighter gray, still neutral. We're just going to invert the model, and we're going to give it a nice top-down highlight, and we're going to pretty much erase everything we just did. And we're going to let the physical real estate of the model obscure the flow Rottweiler. And any dark gray that wants to live in the deep shadows will. But we're not doing much of a transition here. What we're doing is just kind of repainting it and treating our dark gray as the base coat or primer. Okay. So now you can see it a lot easier. Sunshine Grenadier, you legend. I wore that shirt yesterday on the podcast. Did you see? Sunshine Grenadier sent me an amazing shirt. And also, like, what'd you say the shirt was? It was like jiu-jitsu school that your son's in or something? I can't remember. Frozen says, I'm not worried. He's a one-trick pony. Just waiting to see what the cool trick is. Rottweiler. So, IW is emptying my painting jar for my water. There was Brunegar's model in the bottom of the jar. He thought the paint would just come off. Oh, so I was emptying my painting jar. So he just tossed his model in the jar. It's funny. Alright, so we dumped a bunch of the paint out of the pot, and now we're going to ramp it up, Rottweiler and Frozen. Love minis. And it's going to be much, much whiter now. It's closer to a light gray now. More water. Lower the opacity. Yeah, maybe I'll put a drop of foam improver. We haven't even used foam improver yet. Slow the dry time down just a little bit. So it's like, yeah, man, they were making bulk order for the jiu-jitsu school, and I hooked my dude up. Is today the month ender? No, the month ender is Tuesday, brother. So here's a much lighter color, and again, remember what I said. The secret is really that we're basically repainting the model mostly white. Now let me turn the lights down so you can see where we're at. Let's get back to it. Now, that big shoulder right there is going to be blue. This big shoulder is all bones. And again, you want to remember that the model is white, not gray. So what we're doing is we're wiping out a substantial amount of the dark gray and replacing it with the light gray. But since we're not painting it opaque, there is a interaction occurring and a softening. It's not just like a hard edge, line of gray. It's soft, and that's because we're respecting the values and lowering the opacity. And so I like to take my time on white models like this. You can just paint it white if you want, but I still like to see what kind of transition I can get out of it. But also, because I know I have to paint like this shoulder pad by hand. I'm gonna have to paint these skulls. It doesn't hurt to build up a nice clean value workup on the whole model, because anything that you do this like kind of grayscale value workup on is just easier to paint. Like when I go in to paint that shoulder pad and it's got all these values built in, it's all perfect. It's so easy to just throw the blue in there. So I'm also like, I like painting these type of models because it makes all the paintbrushing easy. So is that web shop, Sun Grenadier, unaffiliated with the school or affiliated with the school? Like I said, you got to be willing to get way closer to white here, guys. But as we get whiter, we're gonna get more more narrow on the beam. And we're keeping it neutral. So I dumped the pot with some dirty paint water in there. We're gonna put a bunch of white back in. Stir that in. So that's gonna be even brighter than what we just did. Like I said, you can skip a lot of this and just paint it white if you wanted to, but I find that to be a more difficult prospect. A lot of flow improver. Some water. Unaffiliated, they make MMA and training gear. Okay. Let's throttle down. Gotta just keep the tip clean. Hold on a second. We're getting a little bit of clogging here because the brush is dirty. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of twisting the needle in there, and you can see it just poking out.
And his name is John C.
Yo, Rottweiler says, Frozen, I'm in Discord, but fuck off again. You D-bag. 23 bonus, yo dogs. Rottweiler. Rottweiler coming in hot. Him and Frozen have a special relationship. Alright, so this is much brighter, and we are coming in a little bit more precise Rottweiler, as you can see. And even things that aren't gonna be white, you see I'm pretending that they are. See that? And it's low opacity. We're getting some nice soft transitions. Oh, look at it. Oh, it's pretty much all skulls right there. And we see we got to raise that whitening factor up deep into the real estate. And even though it's going to be white, I want there to be a transition. I want there to be some subtle fading. I'm trying to focus down on these armor plates where I can. Yo, it's my boy Ender right there. Let me get some strong man love in the chat for my boy Ender. Thousand Suns hero. Oof. Just bringing it up slowly, okay, guys? I don't want any speckling. I don't want any tide lines. I want a very clean journey to that white And I want to budget some gray in the shadows. And we're working very low opacity, so it's taking multiple passes to get the result that I want. Thing is, you also don't want to take it to max white because you want there to be one last stop for your edge highlighting. So I'm going to put a little water in there. I'm going to do a quick hobo fling. And they're in the chat. Just chilling, brother. Me, old man, 36 months. What's up, homie? Keeping it gangster. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse it down a little bit more. So we'll get a lot of that gray out of there. Now I'm going to try something. Now, a lot of times I abandon what I'm about to do next as wasted effort. But I always try to give it a try. And I'm going to use transparent white in here, like pretty raw dog. Actually, I want to get more of that gray out of the pot. There's just too much dirty paint water in there. So I'm going to try it again. Transparent white. A little water. I never declared the winner of the Tuesday paint-off. We voted on it live, dude. They all voted almost universally that you lost. Were you not there? We put a straw poll up. And we let the people decide. You got 3 votes. We did it like a player's choice. Shout out to Rottweiler. 23 bonus Yodogs. Alright, so let's see if transparent white does what I want it to do for once. Let's see. We're having just a little bit of a hiccup here because my brush is dirty, like I said. Yeah, there's something in there. Sometimes if you can get the chunky to just come out of the tip here. There we go. I think this will ride. So I'm trying to use the transparent white as unthinned as possible to sneak in and whiten up these features, but historically when I've tried this, it just doesn't do enough. And I'm having to abandon it. Like, it looks really white for a second, and then it vanishes. Just doesn't have enough power. But I always give it a shot. Recoil. Rottweiler is the one on call for potential school. Yeah, that's right. You were on call. That's right. Forgot about that. You were doing some really serious work. I remember. There we go. Alright, we're struggling. Struggling. There's a clog. I think we just broke it loose. Look at it. You guys see the needle? So I'm using the transparent white, kind of like ink would be used in this capacity. To really start whitening up the real estate. Cascaboom, what's up, brother? Ben Bot in chat. And we're just creeping that white in more and more. And I'm really trying to take my time to cultivate a nice clean transition. And I'm really focusing on these armor panels. This shoulder is going to be blue though, so kind of mostly abandoned it. I throw a little bit in there every now and then. And the trick, guys, is to get it as white as you can and just leave a little bit of gray intact. That's the trick. Don't forget these hip panels. And because I'm using the transparent white because of the nature of it. It's a lot less likely to be all speckly and harsh. But you see, it takes a little bit longer to curate the opacity that you want. But that's a great foundation for bold titanium white. So now what we can do is just take a little bold titanium white, which we've been using the whole time, put it in the pot. Stalker says, is there a Heresy World Eater term? I don't know. Maybe. So a little bit of bold titanium white back in the pot because it's got more body. Put a drop of water. Gimps, my hobby changed every 6 to 12 months, but I've seen you paying for like 5 years now. Starting to feel like I'm shortening myself. We've been in the game for a while, dude. All right, so let me just make sure we're looking good here. Let's keep the tip clean. All right, now we're gonna try to make that white more opaque, and we're keeping it neutral. We've added nothing into the whites to make it warm or cool. Straight up black and white, essentially, because we're gonna have blue shoulders, which is very cool. We're gonna have all these bone fields, which we're gonna do more of a warm white. So we want to just kind of let the armor be more, more visible, have its own contrast, not blend into anything else. So if we did a warm white, blend into the bone, cool white, blend into the blue. And so see, we're just punching up the opacity of this white now, you see? Trying to get it as white as possible, but you see we still have some transition in there. And that's what we're looking for. And again, you could just paint this guy white if you want. If you want to just do white, maybe some pin washing. But I'm always looking to see if I can sneak a transition in there. And the shoulder, again, that's going to be blue. So I'm kind of done working on it. And I'm just kind of inspecting the status of our white. Making sure we're looking good. Turning the light down more. Talon, if they bring Demon Angron in, do you think they will make him a glass cannon? Or bullet sponge? I mean, they'll make him hard to kill for sure. There's lots of defensive traits in the game now. Like Bellicor, you know. Oh no. I fucked up right there. I splattered some white because I wasn't paying attention right there. So I kind of have to just raise that up. Just white it up a little bit more. Rottweiler, Talon does not get an opinion. He does not even show up for the paint off. He didn't show up for the whip out, no. So now we're raising the white up a little bit. And it's not opaque, right? So it's not truly white yet, okay? It'll become truly white when I do some edge highlighting. So it's still like ultra light gray. Now here on the on these skulls, I will just kind of dust them a little bit. Just to make it easier for when I make them bone colored, just to have a little bit of something to work off of there. Just hitting it with a little bit of air. Okay. Alright, so the things I want super white are super white. Okay? So now what we have to do is see if we can block things in. Okay? So we now need to kind of like wipe out all that spray to see what we're really working with here. And so we're going to just switch over to our paintbrush now. We'll rinse the brush real quick. Cut the compressor. Rottweiler just gifted 10 subs to the chat. Look at this legend. Rottweiler, super mean to Talon and Frozen, but he's really nice to me. It's 1,000 bonus yo dogs. And if you just got gifted a sub because Rottweiler came in here and showed you some love, show him some love. Thank you, Rottweiler. Rottweiler, I'm going to pull out the old wet palette. We're going to do a quick reset. Let's put some water in there. I think I need to switch out the sponge here soon. I think I pretty much cached this sponge. It says, we take care of our peeps. Hashtag home team. Exclamation point home team. Corvid eye. Right in shop. Oh no, that sucks, Love Minis. Your ride is in the shop? Did I hear that right? Or is Corvidi's still in the shop? Corvidi's truck's in the shop still? Goddamn. Stalker, Nurgle wants that sponge? Yeah, he does. Rottweiler, I'm in a sick game of Total War 2 right now. You're fucking a Total War fiend. Okay, so it looks like gold is like, or bronze or whatever is an accent here. So on a model like this, I'm not gonna go true metal, I'm gonna go NMM. So let me just get some classic, just real classic, right? Yellow ochre. And I'm going to desaturate that yellow ochre with just some dark neutral gray. And I'm going to continue to desaturate that yellow ochre with white. And I might put a speck of orange in the mix. Okay? Something like that. Grab a couple paintbrushes. Shout out to the follows. Mazig and Zaffer Art. Gotta stay in Tampa till Tuesday. Yikes. Corporate. Tampa's like awful. So this gray will desaturate this color. This orange will orange it up a little bit, this transparent orange. This white will make it brighter. And what you have is kind of this desaturated kind of brown yellow. Okay. We're going to use pretty high opacity version of that at first. And we're just going to use our number 4, just carefully stipple in here. And, you know, normally I'd use a really small brush for this, but I just opened this number 4. And so the number 4 for a few weeks is pretty capable of most things, as long as you're careful with your angles. Got a little out of the bounds there, but that's okay. So what you want to do is just, you know, some light stippling. Use the tip of your brush. Don't be afraid to invert the model for better angles. Okay. Down here, I'll just do the whole lower shelf. Using the tip of my brush, high opacity, low moisture. I'm using the heart pull position with a bit of a sewing machine stroke. And my goal is to block in the details. And looks like there are motes. Thank you, Pop Goes the Monkey. There are actually little borders between this trim and the stomach fields. Little motes in there. Something that I've criticized many online makers for not doing. Is this a Carnage King sculpt? Carnage King is killing it, man. From Pop Goes the Monkey. Nice. So our desaturated mix here is working great. There's these big medallions right here. Just probably hit these two. And there is a skull in the center, so I'm probably going to see if I could just kind of preserve the skull. Rotate the model. A little bit of trim right here. I'll probably switch to the small brush to get in there deeper. A bit of trim right here. Let's invert it right here. Let's see if we can get the sidewall, that medallion. Like I said, I'll probably switch to a smaller brush here. Or I go to get deeper inside there. But for now, I'm just laying things out. So all bone in there. Probably better to paint the bone first, but, you know, whatever. So if you guys want to know something funny, if you guys like the deathless metal workup I do on like my death guard. Who that? Monument Hobbies. Thank you for the raid. The progenitor of these sweet ass paints we're using right now. I was just about to explain something pretty cool. And we got Jason and Jen in here. So that deathless metal I just use dark silver, like gold. Mix them together, maybe add a little bit of fucking copper, maybe a little bit of white gold at the end. It's pretty much the same thing I'm doing here. Making a desaturated, like, ochre. Like, extra desaturated. We're using a number 4, high opacity, low moisture, and we're just putting this trim in and blocking it in. It's treating it as a 3-dimensional coloring book. And there's a shelf right here, using the tip of our brush, pulling back to our body. Pow! There's Jentastic in chat. Let's move it in right here. And we're just kind of using a little bit of a stipple and a heart pull, deploying pretty much one and done coverage here with a nice opaque mix. There's no additional moisture added to the mix. It's just out of the pot, raw dog. Invert. That shelf right there. Now there's a little bit of trim poking through right here. And there's like also a chain there. There's you want to make sure you get the inner shelf here. Like I said, I'm probably painting this trim out of order. I'll probably have to clean it up later. It is what it is. Rottweiler gifted us up to Jentastic. We're just going to go through and kind of just start framing things, okay? This is the tedious, more grindy part of any Chaos model. The trim. This is what people hate. This is what makes Chaos so iconic. The only reason I'm being meticulous is because I like the fact that with a nice gray modulated value inside the field there, because I know from experience that's going to make laying the blue down real easy, and I don't want to like get this ochre in there. Good trim right here. High opacity, low moisture. Rotate. Tip of the brush. Pull back right there. Invert. There's a shelf underneath it, you see. And the problem when you're spraying white out on things is that a lot of times this would still be black from the primer, and you would barely have to paint it down here. But because we got so much white sprayed in here, we can't ignore that. So it is all that trim life recoil. Trim life. Dandos Minis. Thank you for the follow. You guys running, Jen, are you guys running a Monument Hobbies Memorial Day sale this weekend? Imagine there's going to be some sick discounts on the website. Who that? Is that Rottweiler again? $23 bonus, yo, Deezies in the chat says, exclamation point, so Monument Hobbies sent me some sweet models to me and my kiddo. You guys are awesome. Paint is off the hook. It is the best paint. Shout out to Rottweiler picking up those bonus, yo, Deezies. Hydraxo, thank you for the follow. And we're just going to power through, guys. Bear with me. This is, like I said, this is the part that is a bit of a grind. Be especially careful right here. Tip of the brush, pull back to your body. Try to mitigate how much moisture is actually on the brush. You can get it on the fingers, that's fine. Don't get it on that white. Use the tip right here. Gently pull back. Using our nice, clean, crisp number 4 Pro Synth. And we're just laying down some nice, clean, and opaque base coats on all this trim. And we're using a combination of dark gray, ochre, orange, and white. Kind of this special brown. That we made. There we go. Inside track now. Be careful. Don't get on white, don't get on white. Use the heart pull, gently pull down. I don't care so much about the hand. It's kind of hard to get in there, so when I switch to my 18-0, I'll probably jump inside there. Here's some dark neutral gray, ochre, orange, white. Just kind of refreshing the pile. Let's move over to this hand. Combination of stippling, sewing machine stroke from the heart pull position. So I'm pulling straight back, but sometimes I am just stippling to get the paint to deploy where I want it to safely. Up here. Try to use that tip. Don't get it on the white. Don't get it on the white. Keeping the amount of moisture in your mix mitigated is helpful for this. You can use a smaller brush if you're not comfortable with the number 4, but the brand out of the pack, Pro Synth number 4 can do almost anything. As it gets a little bit of mileage on it, it's sharp tip. Might lose a little bit of this precision ability, but I used my last Pro Synth number 4 for about half a year before I decided to open a new one. So now I'm getting the lower shelf. You gotta remember the 3-dimensional, so there's a rise and a tread to these details. And our goal is to power through and get this guy blocked in today. The Allen nerd, the Alien nerd, thank you for the raid. Thank you so much. Old Rusty Boy, I'm late to the party. Sorry if this has been asked. Is it better to prime chrome gray instead of black because of the red and gold colors? You talk about if you're going to do a red core model. If you do a red core model, you can prime it whatever we can prime it black. I have 1,000 videos on painting red. It's so easy. You black is fine. And also buy an airbrush if you don't have one. Matt Yee, thank you for the follow. Okay, let's see if we can sneak in here. And like I said, I don't care if I get this on the hand. That's fine. It's the white field I'm trying to preserve. There we go. And that other, the one that's tucked in there, when I switch to the 18-0, I'll go to that. I'll do it right now. Show you. So I use the 18-0 synthetic, which actually its tip is not smaller than the number 4. What it is just a smaller brush that has the ability to reach in areas like that and not accidentally bang the sidewall up. So I can get in there more confidently and get that other trim line. Still using high opacity, low moisture, heart pull, and the tip of my brush. There's a little trim right here that I feel more confident with the 18-0. Now, Monument Hobbies does make an X10 brush that does this just perfectly fine as well. Same thing right here. You see there's a trim line right here. Just kind of stippling on it with some high opacity paint. See if I can sneak in there without banging the barrel of my brush against anything. There it is. Using the tip, pull back. Always rotate the model for that gentle pull. Oh, Rusty boy, you're terrified of an airbrush? Well, stick with me, brother. The airbrush is your best friend. Definitely want to jump on it sooner rather than later. It'll save you thousands of seconds a week. And that's just the speed element of the airbrush. The other part is that you will achieve a superior result. Okay, right here. Slide in right here. Wow. Frozen Hobbit just gifted a sub to old Rusty Boy. Shout out to your boy Frozen Hobbit, old Rusty Boy. Let's just make sure that we got the top shelf of some of this trim. Let's run back here and make sure that we're looking good on these spikes. Got a little out of bounds on that one. I'll have to clean it up when I edge highlight the white. Keeping it clean. Just moving through. Like I said, this is the grind. This is the chaos grind. Getting all this done right now is the first milestone. Oh, Rusty says, I'm still getting down to basics, and I have been watching your videos like a madman. They say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Start airbrushing today. Rottweiler, hashtag Dirty Mike Life, exclamation point soup, says, fuck you, Frozen, about time you did something, exclamation point so monument. 23 bonus Joe Dogs for Rottweiler. Frozen, I'm going to use some more gray, ochre, orange, white. Kind of reset the mix. And I'm hunting down more trim. Okay, let's rotate. Let's go to the top-down position. We're going to pull straight back. And so you'll notice we're not using a true metallic for all this. We're using our own mix. And on these types of models, these promo models I like to do for my big guys, big sponsors, like Pop Goes the Monkey, I like to do a nice clean non-metal metallic. These guys send us lots of cool swag to sending the gift bags for you guys. So I like to make sure that the model we paint for them looks really cool and a cut above. And typically they don't even have box art for these models. So a lot of times the model we paint ends up being sort of the reference. See that? Possibly Reef, thank you for becoming a viewer, first time viewer. And Alan Nerd, thank you for the follow. The Align Nerd, maybe. Rotate, look for that heart pull. You don't have to worry about these skulls too much, but the closer to this grayscale you can leave them, the easier later it'll be to paint them. And so this kind of like the saturated ochre brown we made is our base coat for our metals. And we're using the heart pull strategy, high opacity, low moisture, to get that trim with no mistakes. Oh, I gotta make a puddle real quick. Oh no! Get in there nice and tight. Like I said, when you spray a model white like this, it can be more annoying. You have to get more coverage than normal. So that's always something you gotta understand going in. Because a lot of this coverage we can kind of just like slack if it's prime black, because you can let it just be black in these recesses and stuff. Rottweiler just gifted 5 subs to the chat for 500 bonus Yo Dogs. If you just got gifted another sub from the very generous Rottweiler, show that man some love. Maybe click on his name, give him a follow. He likes to also stream. He's probably streaming Total War right now. If I know the guy. And make sure if you want to talk directly to me while we're doing our painting, you're going to want to type at next level painting. So highlights on my screen, and we will do a whip session today. I'm gonna, after we get all this trim laid out, probably. Okay, rotate back to the heart pull position, tip of the brush, pull straight back, high opacity, low moisture. Rotate. Use a little stippling technique right here. Rotate, keep looking for that pull. Saw machine stroke. Right there. Invert it, come back to the heart pull from the other side. You just got gifted a sub because Rottweiler. Show that man some love. Some stippling right there. Modified heart pull right here. Rotate in. This is a lot of these fundamentals is what I teach in my curriculum in the edge highlighting lesson. The high opacity, low moisture detailing application. How to hold the model, when to rotate, what side of the brush to use. So this is 90% heart pull strategy, which helps you draw straighter lines. Now this is a hard one right here because you want to get the inner shelf right here and not get it in the white. See that all that white and gray requires so much coverage. Definitely, it's like 20% more paint strokes to get everything covered. Journeyman Paint Hour. What's up, guys? Journeyman Paint Hour, huh? Interesting name. Running it down with some high opacity, low moisture heart pulling right here. Just walk it back, rotate the model. Get through the grind, guys. This is the hard part. Or the tedious part. It's not really hard. We make sure to battle our paint here on the palette, not on the model. Rotate down, heart pull, heart pull. There we go. Slide it in right here. Shout out to War Pigment who just gifted a sub to Journeyman. It's 100 bonus $0 to War Pigment. Rotate in here so we can slide it in. It's tricky. There's a shelf in here. Kind of between the legs. Got it. Pop goes the monkey. There he is, the man of the hour. I was hoping you got those. Yeah, I got them, brother. So far, so good. Is this Carnage King? It is, right? Your Saturday Night stuff? Your maker on this? Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. It's really good. Top tier paintability. Of course, we made things hard for us by doing pre-heresy instead of another red model. So now we are just grinding out this trim. And we're using a desaturated kind of brown workup because we're going to do some NMM. Pop Goes the Monkey. Shout out to Pop Goes the Monkey in chat. Memorial Day sale this weekend, right? Exclamation point corn, exclamation point pop. Grind, grind, grind that trim. Pop Goes the Monkey says, please direct all your horns and rivet issues to him. No, it's okay. He gave me motes and stuff. Like, it's great. Sneak in here. All the horns and stuff are fine as long as there's like a coupling or something. See if I can sneak in here. This is tricky. And this is why white is tricky, because you see, normally I could just leave that black in there. But since it's white, you can't leave it white. So this thing right here, we're just going to say, fuck this thing. This thing is going to be gold too. Or bronze or brass or whatever. So let's say, just be careful though. Got in there. Got that spit guard looking good. You have a weekend sale. Do you mind if I drop? Yeah, put the links in there, bro. I mean, we've got links to you right now. Exclamation point pop. Exclamation point corn. But if you want to put a link to the same exact website I already have links for. So we're just hitting this cross guard on the face now. What is kind of cross pattern? I don't know what the fuck it is. Kind of like a, that cool classic kind of knight helmet situation. There we go. Just carefully catch all those deets. That's going to occupy a lot of our time, but we're almost there, and then we can move on from this. Some stippling right there. Right there. Want to make sure to get the shelves, like again, tricky because it's white. Maneuver into the heart pull position though, make it a lot easier. Automatic discount code that everyone can take advantage of regardless. So yeah, it's automatically applied this weekend. 10% off. Okay, so there's some trim kind of poking up on the bottom here too. See if we can sneak in back here. Yeah, face is a little tricky, mainly because of the nature of the white. Because a lot of this would be black still for the primer. Way deep in here, if you were doing like red or something, and you wouldn't have to touch as many things. You just ride. So I feel like this thing has to be gold now. The thing that like his cowl. Leaving it white, I think, just makes it look unpainted. It's tricky, guys. So now there's like a latch here that has spikes on it. We'll paint it also. But the spikes can be a different color. Spikes don't have to be this. Like I said, we don't know what the hand's going to be just yet. But I'm just taking a quick opportunity to make sure I get this shelf right here. Top right here. Spin around. Oh, look, I missed one. Look at this. Every time you look at it, you gotta get these guys. Pop goes the monkey. All the items are in the sale are items you can use to customize your new 30k box set. Ah. Pop goes monkey. I got the very first set of those butchers. Is this the very first set of the butchers? Oh, shit. But people can buy them now, right? So this is the first edition. So I am painting the first edition print. Rotate in. Shout out to Darth Jameson. What up, player? Oh, isn't this Love Mini song? So high opacity, low moisture is the name of the game, guys. Rotate down, pull it back to your hearts. Rotate back, pull down. Rotate, pull down. Invert it. Remember that there's two sides. So you see this whole lower shelf right here. Heart pull, high opacity, low moisture. Pow. So I think we got most of the trim now. And we're looking good. Trim, 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 trim. I don't know if this will be the same color or not, this dealie, but we'll just pretend it is until it's not. All right. So all of that just to get this shit paste brown on here. Baby shit brown. A lot of work. And you see there's still places you want to clean up. Look, so you can still see a little white on this shelf right here. And that's why white is so tricky. A lot of times that will still be mostly black. It's like you need to do 20% more paint strokes. All right, looking good. And since I'm painting these nows, you will add them to the 10% discount sale. Oh, did you hear that? Exclamation point corn. He says, because we're painting it now as a promo, the butcher set is 10%, is going to be 10% off in that sale too. Jax the Pirate. Gotta hate Twitch, need a desktop app back. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that, Jax the Pirate. I've been on Twitch for 6 years. I have literally never had a desktop app for Twitch. I just use the browser. I don't know what I was missing. Let me just make sure there's a little bit poking through here we need to get. Right here. Invert it. Right there. Okay, I'm feeling it. Just let my eyes kind of unfocus as I look at it. Just so if I see anything that kind of jumps out at me is not good. Alright, so we can begin to see our World Eater. So let's do a whip session. Let this settle down. I'll come back in and I'll try to cut the blue in. I'll try to just block things in real quick, okay? But this is day one of this project, which means it was airbrushing, getting the white on. It's going to be blocking a lot of details. We're going to be existing in the hot garbage phase for a few minutes. And one of the things I like to do in this situation is let's just get a little coal black out. And especially with a color like white or a paint like white, the model tends to look really out of focus. Because the white overspray on the base. So what I'll do is I'll just repaint the base black real quick and let it dry while we're doing a whip. And this base is not even the base that he's going to be on. He's going to be on an Elric's Hobbies base for sure. But I just want to cut that overspray out for the promo because I don't like it looking like shit the whole time we're painting it. So it's going to look like it's going to get back in focus here. And that's just a little extra work for the promo. You see, now that we're removing all that overspray, there is an undeniable sharpening effect occurring here. And it's going to be a lot of work, okay? We're going to have to meticulously deploy some clean pin washing into the whites because most of the contrast in the white is going to come from our pin washing strategies. You don't want to do like an all-over wash. If you're trying to keep a nice clean white going, you got to go in there and just manually darken it. Saul Neeks, thank you for the follow, brother. Okay, so now we've cut the base back in black. He's a lot easier to look at now without all that white overspray. So let's just take some of this coal black we laid out. And like I said, when I don't know what it's going to be, it's black. Who dat? So this is semi-opaque, okay? It's not totally opaque. Frozen Hobbit, 2x Yo Dogs right there. 2x bonus, 46 bonus. Just keep teaching the spine. Sorry about the marital spat. Oh, him and Raw, that's cute. Frozen Hobbit. So I'm using a less opaque mix because the black can be semi-opaque and a little wet right over this kind of gray-white workup, and it'll ride. And this is a strategy I use a lot, is to reset this real estate to a black. You can move kind of quick here, and this will help you make decisions later. And remember how I was complaining about how white is tricky because you have to establish more coverage? So by taking just a quick moment to reset this stuff to black, I've established that coverage that we need for later. that kind of obscuring effect that black gives us. And I'm probably going to leave a lot of it as is, but by letting the paint flow in a more wet, semi-opaque state, it helps us with speed coverage. Okay, hold on, we got some stuff happening. Who that? Ah, I should have known. Okay, so Rottweiler. Bonus Yo-Dogs, 23 bonus Yo-Dogs. Bruno Gar wants you to know he took 7 Oreos and stacked them to make a sandwich. Hashtag sugar. But he wants to say hi. Shout out to Bruno Gar. I see young hobbyist who knows his Oreo cookie game. He is a sandwich connoisseur. And you can see right there where there's a little white showing Bruno Gar. And that means I didn't get enough coverage when I was laying down my base coats initially. On the trim right there. So I just fixed that real quick. Shout out to War Pigman who gifted a sub to POW War Pig. Congratulations. It's 100 bonus Yo-Dogs. And Squeebles, 12 months back to back, got his year badge. Thank you so much. Squeebles. Rottweiler, Bruno Gar, War Pigment, thank you. Now check it out. Here we go. Semi-opaque and a little wet using the tip of the brush. Heart pull strategy, pull straight down. And you see we get really easy coverage, and that kind of gray-white workup will just absorb the semi-opacity of the black and give us plenty of coverage. So it's not the same as when we were painting the trim over the white where we needed a lot more coverage, a lot more opacity. So you can take a much looser approach, a faster approach to this real estate reset. Reset the real estate to black. Helps us make decisions later. A lot of these things we're painting black will stay black. But later I want to decide like what to do with the claws. It's a lot easier to kind of envision where I want to go if they're not just like oversprayed gray. Instead, they're a nice sharp black, or a sharper black. So this will make things a lot easier. I do this on my Blood Angels for my Blood Angel project too. Use the tip of the brush, kind of stipple in there, rotate, looking for that heart pull. See, already looks so much better. So much more visible. Now, I see you got this stuff on the back here. Be careful not to come in too wet because you can accidentally get this on the white. Using the heart pull. A little bit less moisture.
Hey, are you Dirty Mike and the boys? Your cat! Rub your dicks on the car as you run away. We are gonna have sex in your car. It will happen again.
Who that? Rottweiler, 2X Yo-Dogs right there. 46 bonus Yo-Deezies. Bruno Gar is watching you on the big screen, is asking about painting whites. Painting white is tricky, Bruno Gar. Getting the opacity that you want and the transitions is tricky, but also painting details in precisely like I'm doing right now, it's tricky because if the model was black, you can kind of let the black just kind of sit there in the lower shelves of these areas, and it would kind of just hide your mistakes. But when you start with a white, you know, you can't hide mistakes. You have to just go in and be precise. So there's a more of a grind. It's a little bit more tricky and time consuming. So that's why I like to, you know, take these things off of white when I can, like right now. So when I paint these pipes later, whatever I decide to paint them, I can do less work. So I'm just kind of looking out for future Kenny. He wants a White Scar army. Like, if you were going to do a whole army of these, of white models, it may be easiest to prime them white and rely on your pin washing. But again, you're going to still be in the same problem. Every detail that's not white is a bit of a nightmare to paint. But if you painted it pure white, at least you can fix your mistakes by going back to pure white. Recoil in the chat, 4x bonus. Yo, DZs, that's 92 bonus. Yo, dogs. In 2013, Long John Silver's Big Catch meal was the worst restaurant meal in America. It contained 33 grams of trans fat, 19 grams of saturated fat, 1,320 calories, and almost 3,700 milligrams of sodium. You see, that's the meal. 2013, most unhealthy meal in America. Long John Silver's. Yikes. Thought it was 2008. Okay. We're just going to keep moving through. These chains. Paint them black. Using high opacity, low moisture, stippling, and sewing machine stroke from the heart pull position. There is a pipe right here, dead center. Now this might be a mistake again.
And his name is John C.
Rotate it back. My man Talon. 2x bonus, Yo Dogs, 46 bonuses. You're about to get 20 likes on InstaFuck. If I see you around here again, I'm gonna put a hashtag on your ass and see how many hits it gets. Hope you brought your Costco card, because you're about to get dick in bulk. You eat organic? How about fresh farm to table puree my ball? What the hell did you just make me read, Talon? Talon, you don't have a career in naming porn movies. How many times I gotta tell you this? Did you just make me say all the things that you can't say at home? Pop goes the monkey. I haven't seen a Long John Silver since 2005, so I'm good. Good. Talon living up to his reputation. Talon, I'm just using that high opacity. I'm using a little bit of moisture to help guide it down this path using the heart pull technique right here. Just try to cut these things in, rotate back this way. And we're going to paint that stuff blue, so come back to it as quickly as possible. Right, well, this is I love stepping on Legos. Oof. Fuck Legos. Highly underrated Will Ferrell movie, Get Hard. It's his trash talk practice getting ready for prison. Oh! I did see that movie. I did see that movie. I forgot about that. He hires Kevin Hart, right? To teach him how to be tough. So there's some trim right there that we missed. See, this is helping us catch things we missed too. That movie is just going through my head now. I'm remembering some of the scenes. Tal says, yeah, Kevin Hart. The best one is when he says, Merry Dixmas, he sent a cock. You're a disappointment to your parents. Who I fuck. Oh my god, that's right. Right here. I'm kind of running out of some of this coal black. I gotta put more down on the palette, actually. There we go. Flip it back this way. You see, we're just getting that coverage. You see how much faster this stuff is? Because it's not trim. Cell 76, how's it going? Is this for Horus Heresy? This is a... Sure. This is a totally not Corn World Eater Terminator kit from Pop Goes the Monkey. And we're painting it pre-heresy colors because that's what the audience voted on. Getting some on the skull, kind of unavoidable. Just stippling in on this chain, resetting it to black. Rinse the brush. Mindset Mini, thank you for the follow. Mindset Mini, check it out. We've got a little bit of our kind of desaturated work up over here from earlier. There's a little bit of trim we missed here in this like hinge. I don't know what the fuck that is. Rinse the brush. You started your Sons of Horus army, Kelt. Now let's grab the little brush and the black, and there's like a pipe right here. We're just gonna kind of get that black going right here. Since I got white still in the palette, I'll just kind of, before we get it too covered in black, just kind of wipe out the black that crept into this skull right there. Quick eraser trick, because I'm gonna shift those skulls back to something warmer. Same thing, just pick up some gray off the palette. Kind of erase that mistake. Back to black. See that? That's so tricky. A little bit of that piping showing through under this panel. Grab some of our desaturated brown mix. See, there's you keep finding things I missed. So having a healthy base coat is going to be important to later steps. Pick up some of that desaturation. Just kind of doing some more visual inspecting. Since I have it on, you want to reach in right here. Get deep in that shoulder pad. You want to be careful not to get it on his inner kind of trap region. And this is where having black would be so helpful for concealment. And definitely this is part of that trim. Let's rinse it. Let's grab some more black. There's a chain right here. And we're going to do so much work on this trim. We're basically in another sonic obliteration kind of situation. We've committed to something pretty time intensive, but I'm gonna try to make it faster. Than that project was. Okay, so I'm gonna switch a couple skulls over to something a little bit warmer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a little, and we can still use this same work up here for the most part. You can take this white, this yellow, some gray that we made, and you basically have a warm ivory kind of gray here. And so this should paint really easily over what we have. And you can use a little bit more black now in the mix for any kind of shading you want to do. Basically like a warm gray. Instead of neutral gray. Wargaming Yeti, what's up, brother? So up here, it'd be great to figure out how to do that without painting, without as much painting. So we probably could take some of this ivory. I mean, some of this fake ivory we just made. Lower the opacity. And then we could probably just take some of the excess moisture off our brush. And kind of just glaze it down. Right over the neutral gray. So I added plenty of water. Took some of the water off on a paper towel, and now I'm just kind of dragging this filter over the grayscale and shifting them to be warmer. Like that. And I'm probably going to use a little wash in there too. Who that? Rottweiler just get the 10 more subs to the chat? Holy shit, that's another 1,000 Yodogs for Rottweiler. If he just gifted you a sub, say hi to that man. Show that man some love. We're going to glaze some right here for Rottweiler on these. Let's pull a little bit more white out. Now, we're going to have to paint the fuck out of those skulls. Like, absolutely, no doubt, Rottweiler. But what I'm thinking is we can get away with probably a light oil wash in there. So I'm going to take them a little bit brighter in this warm spectrum. A little more white. Get some strong man love in the chat for my boy Rottweiler. As we just pop those skulls out a little bit, like I said, I think an oil wash is going to be great there. I don't want to get bogged down there though. We'll deploy a wash a little bit later. What we want to do is get our blue shoulder pad base blocked in, so we can have like all the elements of the model laid out. So now it's blue. So let me see what we got for blues. I've got sky blue, which is one of my favorites of all time. I like to pair sky blue with transparent blue Rottweiler. And essentially, we should be able to make a really incredible blue here. And what we'll do is put some moisture in there, lower the opacity a little bit. Take some of the excess moisture off the brush, and we're just going to carefully paint this blue on, and we're going to try to work off the wet edge as evenly as possible. Like I said, this is probably why painting the trim first was a mistake. Quick base coat of blue right there. Let it chill. And because, like I said, since we have this nice gray, this neutral gray down there, Rottweiler, with some white highlights in it, this will stick so easy. You see, and it was like semi-opaque, just a little wet. And you get really good stick, let it chill. This one right here. Just wet enough to spread it out fast. These spikes chilling right there. What is the month ender? What's the last day of the month, Reaper? Tuesday the 31st, baby. So I'm kind of thinking that we should do these hip panels blue. And so I'm just going to do it. I'm doing the same mix right over this nearly white. Who that? Is that my boy Lyndon? Lyndon Arteridum. Lyndon and crew, welcome to the show. So right now we are trying to paint these hip panels with our blue. It's a little bit trickier because they're nearly white, whereas the shoulders are still mostly gray. And this is a mix of sky blue and transparent blue. And we started this project a couple hours ago. You didn't know if I was changing it up for Memorial Day weekend? Why wouldn't I stream on Tuesday because of Memorial Day weekend. Why do people keep asking that? Do you motherfuckers not go back to work on Tuesday? Is that how that shit works? These motherfuckers just gonna take a week off? I mean, Monday. You take Monday off, right? Like, I don't know who these motherfuckers are and how rich they are. They could just not work on Tuesday. I don't get any kind of paid overtime or paid leave. You know, holiday pay over here. Fucking rich. Okay, so we gotta go for round 2, guys. Okay, so transparent blue and sky blue get you really close to real ass magenta or real ass cyan. So we're gonna come in for round 2, maybe a little bit more cyan this time. You see, now look at that coverage and that stick and that vibrancy. Just trying to work off the wet edge. Pow! Clean. So we are absolutely just doing a couple thin coats here to make sure we have, because of how big these shoulder pads are. Now we easily could, I could sneak my airbrush in there and do some highlighting. Totally easy. But we won't for this. In the pursuit of a more complex tutorial. Rinse the brush. Let that dry for a second. While that's drying, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take stained brown, baby. This is an oil wash. I'm going to take a quick journey into the oil wash for just a second. What we need is a tight little brush that I can sacrifice to the oil wash. I think I have one over here. Yep. I've got some odorless spirits. And I'm gonna, so I put the stained brown in there. And this is a very subtle orange right here. And I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm going to put plenty in there. Some spirits. And what I'm going to do is try to use this to make these skulls easier. So just stipple it in. Let it get inside the recesses and filter everything on top. Like that. We'll let it dry for a minute. Let it like start setting. Just to be on brand, we'll filter these guys. These guys. This guy. This guy. Okay, so I'm going to take some solvent and we're going to try to lift it off of the tops of the skulls. Now. And reveal some of our undercoat. Don't let too much solvent drip in there though. We'll just kind of wick it away from the top. We'll kind of just reveal that bone color. Most magic, you know, you can keep that brush forever. Just dip it in the solvent for about a minute. Just get all that oil right off of it. Yo, I can see why that would probably work. So we are just pushing away the filter from the tops of things. Don't care about it as much on these big skulls because those are easy to paint. But this I didn't want to create. I didn't want to have a nightmare here. And as the oil starts to dry and set up more, you can have a slightly more controlled avenue to subtracting it. See, I'm actually revealing more and more now in a controlled way. And it stays very blended. There we go, you see? You should have enough work time to do a couple rounds of this. So we were able to push the oil mostly to the background and pull some of it off of the tops of the skulls to get a really fast and easy field of skulls in there. And I'll still take some paint after that hardens and cures and go through and put a little bit more highlighting on these skulls. But you see, I still have enough time to pull even more off. Look. So it's like we're highlighting the skulls now. What we're doing is just lowering the filter. And making it not a fucking nightmare. So that was our oil wash side quest right there. Matt Wellman, my favorite subtle orange is Donald Trump. Oh my god. Matt Wellman in the chat. Throwing zingers out there. Pop goes the monkey. Thanks for stopping by, brother. See you tomorrow. Running back to the pallet. And we are going to load up with some more sky blue here. So some transparent blue over here. Let's kind of get this mix going. So I'm going to take some sky blue kind of wet. And now what we're going to do is bring some in right here. Stipple it in. We're going to jump right into the other puddle. Just kind of stipple right off of that. Maybe grab a little more transparent blue. And what we're doing is just kind of doing some wet glazing. This is low opacity and really wet paint. And it's the same two paints we've been using on the shoulders. We're just using moisture to kind of get a blur using the stippling technique. And a nice little subtle transition game here. You see that? And we're going to take some more transparent blue. Down here at the bottom. Send that in and just kind of stipple it up. And we'll let that dry and then we'll make adjustments later. Really quick way to kind of lay it out though. And it's very low risk because it's already was blue and I just used very low opacity wet paint to do that. To kind of start getting the vibe of what I want laid out there established. 9 minutes left in the show, guys. Herb and Nix, thanks for the follow. So some wet sky blue right here. A lot of stipples. Let's run back to our mid-game puddle. Pick up some moisture and some transparent blue. Just using the moisture, the capillary effect, that little blurring, keeping the opacity relatively low. It's not going to have that much impact as it dries. You'll see it'll be more subtle. And so that wet glazing technique, it's basically bad wet blending, but it's easy to get the blurring because it's low opacity and wet. So we're just laying it over this blue. And remember, that blue is chemically made of this sky blue and that transparent blue, so it's got a strong relationship. Take some more transparent blue down here. It's very thin, not much paint. Let that chill, and you see, again, as it's drying, you just see a nice little shift in there, and I can start using more traditional techniques. Now down here in the hit palette panels, I'm not really gonna, I'm gonna go a little bit more opaque because they're just small. So that's got a lot less moisture in it. And I'll take the transparent blue, again, a lot less moisture. I'll just kind of push it around and stipple it. Trying to get a nice little highlight down here toward the tip. Just kind of punching up that blue. Put some of that transparent blue in there like this. That's what I love about the transparents, man. You can pair them with a color like transparent blue and sky blue and just do some really easy stuff with them. We're just doing some random ass stippling. Look at this. Kind of just pushing them together. Kind of just setting that panel up too. See, this is about dry now. So now we can make more precise adjustments using sky blue here, touch of the transparent blue. Kind of use your eyes to kind of match the real estate. But it's only two things, right? It's just this and that. So it's pretty easy to do. So you want to use solid amount of moisture. Take some of that moisture off with your brush so it's low moisture and low opacity. Maybe more moisture. So this is like 3% opacity. And it's very safe to paint right over this blue. So we can actually now, as we move down, we can get a little darker using more of the transparent blue in the mix. With about 4 minutes left. To kind of respect the fact that it's darker down here. Yo, is that my boy JJ Whitesnake in the house? The legendary comic and Twitch streamer. I watched one of your Instagram reels the other day and fucking laughed my ass off. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Had something to do with relationships. It's fucking hilarious. Local legend JJ Whitesnake. What's up, brother? Let me get some love in the chat right there for him and his Raiders. Guys, hit that follow button. We're just in the final few minutes of our show, doing a little bit of traditional glazing right now. Low opacity, low moisture. We're just using sky blue, which is sort of cyan. It's basically acrylic cyan. It doesn't become cyan until you punch up the pigment. And we're just lowering the opacity with moisture, taking the excess moisture off with a paper towel. And what we're doing is just using kind of a dry application of very low opacity paint. It's going to drop a little bit of a filter there. Really forgiving. We can kind of just streamline our transition here. Move in here to where it's a little darker. Just kind of walk into that transparent blue mix that's much darker here at the bottom. Just smoothing it out, you see? JJ, what were you working on, man? What were you doing online? Doing some jokes. Smoking some weed. Got about a minute and a half left, guys. Let's just do this a little faster, a little looser. Using just a bunch of heart pull. And then I think about a minute left in the show, and we did it. We have framed out our World Eater pre-heresy butcher. We got the whites down, we got the blues down, we got the trim base coated, we got things locked in, and now he's ready for actual detailing. He's basically battle ready right now. But now we get to do pin washes, edge highlights, non-metal metallic effects. We get to do all sorts of cool stuff now that we have a solid frame here to work off of. With about 38 seconds left, let me switch to the little brush, take some transparent blue, and I can take some watered down transparent blue, and I can even go a step further and define this border a little bit. And we're going to have to kind of rebuild our trim. About 9 seconds left. Rottweiler gifted 5 subs. No overtime on the clock. 5 seconds left in our show today. 2, 1. There it is.
In here. It's time to get swifty. Uh-oh. You gotta get swifty. Oh, yeah. Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the floor.
Let me get some strong man love in the chat for Rottweiler. Gifting subs left and right. He's a true legend. You see I just framed that out a little bit with some transparent blue so you can kind of see the cut more. And just as a preview of some of the things we might do tomorrow, you might catch me doing some clean inner panel edge highlighting. Like this. Using the fundamentals of our 101 curriculum, high opacity, low moisture. And I'm just using a little bit of sky blue here on the tip of my brush. You can start to see how we're framing that blue out real nice. So, expect to see some really cool stuff tomorrow where this model actually becomes showcase instead of just tabletop. Let me paint these spikes real quick because that bothers me when they're out of focus. Hitting them with just some coal black real quick before we end the show officially. Just using, again, high opacity, low moisture. Don't hesitate to rotate the model to find the safe position. There you go. And so nice little frame to go off on. There it is. Good first installment of the old pre-heresy World Eaters. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys so much. Rottweiler, True Gangster. Can we raid Monster Den Mini? Monster Den Mini? War Pigment S? Perhaps. We'll take a look. Good stopping point though. So let's close up the old wet palette.